putting your hands in a man's hair when you hug him, that is a very...
I personally think that Erica Kirk should be investigated for possible involvement in the murder of her husband. It's just my opinion, based on my observations. I heard that there's questions about which kids even belong to who with that woman. Charlie Kirk had a handler. Bill Montgomery. In May 2012, Kirk gave a speech at the Benedictine University's Youth Government Day where he met Bill Montgomery, a 72-year-old retiree, who was then a Tea Party-backed legislative candidate. Montgomery later said that the speakers at the event had bored the audience and a few hundred school kids began to pay rapt attention when Kirk started speaking. Montgomery then encouraged Kirk to pursue political activism. It's not activism. That's not what was happening here. So he had Kirk convinced that he was participating in activism, maybe. A month after they first met, Montgomery and Kirk co-founded Turning Point U.S.A. This is Bill Montgomery. This was Charlie Kirk's handler. This is the person who was telling Charlie Kirk what to do. Charlie Kirk's wife posted this video after he died. Now, I just want to ask you, first of all, who tells somebody to grab a camera and film them over the corpse of their husband? Look at those rings. Look at that. Okay. Motive for a crime? I think so. There are going to be people who try to defend that. Yeah, they had a lot of money. Yeah, they had a lot of money manipulating kids. People are going to try to criticize me for speaking up on this and try to defend, oh, well, they had a lot of money. I'm sure. I'm gonna just predict that one in the future already. Yeah, they had a lot of money manipulating kids. They made a lot of money manipulating children. Isn't Turning Point considered a youth-centered organization? For context, for the younger people out there who might be following this crap, buying into it, this is one of my mini bookshelves. I'm 38. This stuff is in my brain. All of this stuff is in my brain. Oh, we got sociology, business, emotional intelligence, leadership, human development, microeconomics. I know everybody hates math, but we're going to do a quick math equation. The number of books you can read in a year varies greatly. An average of about 12 for Americans, over 200 for avid readers. A typical reader can finish around 24 books a year by reading about 20 pages a day. I'm 38. 24 times... We're going to assume that I've been reading since I was 8. So then we'll do 30 years of reading. That means I have the capacity to have read 720 books. So then if somebody is 18, 24 times, we're going to take 8 years out for learning to read competently, just like I did for myself, times 10. That means that somebody that age would have the capacity to have read 240 books. I had to install some calculator app because my calculator, for some reason, by default, is not... It's missing on this. When older people are hanging around younger people, especially children, it is important to question why, and that is the reason. Now, I'm just expressing my thoughts and my opinions based on my observations in this video. It's just my opinion. Why the hell is a 72-year-old man approaching Charlie Kirk? Charlie Kirk was in his early 30s, if I'm not mistaken, when this old man came up to him and had him drop out of college to go do podcasting for an organization that targets the youth. Bill Montgomery was 72 years old and retired. We're going to open our calculator back up. All right, so 72 times 24 equals. That's the difference in age. That's the difference in education and age for those who actually choose to continue learning in their lives. And it's a clear example of why people who don't learn wind up falling far behind and are easy to take advantage of. MAGA's all out here like, education is the devil. Yeah, it's the devil because people who are smarter than you are going to use you to make money if you don't freaking read. I said it before and I'm going to say it again. This world has been here for millions of years. It was here before you existed and will continue beyond your death. The world don't give a fuck about you. You can live in an imaginary world and want everything that magically happens in your head to be reality, but just because you have a thought does not mean that it's reality. There are 6 billion people on the planet Earth. We are all wired the same. Everybody has an ego. And if you cannot check your ego and you think that you magically know everything, guess what? There's a lot of us, and there's plenty of people who think like that. And people who think like that look like fucking idiots to the rest of us. If you want to be effective in the world, you need to do some fucking learning. I think it's incredibly likely that Erica Kirk may have possibly hired a hitman or agreed to a hitman coming after her husband. The circumstances under his death I find highly questionable. And the fact that his wife chose to make it into a propaganda moment, I'm just going to say what everybody else is already thinking. I'm just going to let it come out of my mouth. The fact that she turned that into an opportunity for propaganda, who the hell? When they are grieving over the loss of their husband in particular. If that person actually cares, why would they be having, just really think about how bizarre it is to tell a cameraman to stand over you and film and make sure that they get your jewels in the picture. Does that sound like somebody who's actually grieving would do? Really bizarre if you ask me. I mean, from my own opinion, it certainly appears these guys were cashing in, making a lot of money, taking advantage of young people who haven't been on this earth for very long and don't know very much, filling their minds full of a bunch of bull crap and cashing in on it. I mean, you can see the lady's flashing her jewels. And now she's already running off to go bang another dude. I mean, that's what it looks like. With her running her fingers through J.D. Vance's hair and stuff. And I think the reason why those two are linking up, in case you haven't been paying attention, is that because of the fact that, you know, MAGA certainly appears to be a white supremacist movement, which, by the way, white supremacy is not an effective philosophy, and it's not going to help you improve the status in your life. It's not going to make you more money. And trying to move in that direction is only going to result in destabilization and make life very difficult for everybody, including the white supremacists. I mean, if what you want is peace and stability and to be able to afford a home and your groceries and all that, it's not people of color or other people who are the problem. Just start paying attention to what's really going on. But yeah, she's moving on a little quickly, and I heard that she may have been engaging in infidelity while they were together. I feel bad for Charlie Kirk. I feel bad for Charlie Kirk that all of these people are trying to cash in, when it certainly appears the people who are trying to cash in may be involved with the hit that might have been put on the man. Now, I'm just expressing my thoughts and my opinions based on my observations. This is just what it looks like to me. I'm not interested in being dishonest in the dialogue that I engage in with people. So then my second question, you know, I mean, first of all, they're making a lot of money. Looks like they're making a lot of money peddling lies to people. I think that this creepy 72-year-old man who approached Charlie Kirk taught him, hey, you can make a bunch of money if you just say what I tell you to say. That's what I think is going on here. Well, I do believe that, you know, in the value of education and tutelage, and I do think that having older people teaching younger people how the world works is a good thing. And I think that, you know, the student teacher perspective of things like the elder and the younger person teaming up, younger people are more quick and older people know more. So there is benefit and use to those relationships. However, I don't think that's what's going on here. I think these are a bunch of people who are cashing in on an opportunity to do something sinister. Why are they targeting children? Yeah, so anyways, this is part 2 of the whole talking about the Erica Kirk, J.D. Vance thing. No, so what is going on is the white supremacists are throwing a fit about the fact that Vance's wife is a person of color. So, as far as them linking up, I think that's part of the reason. But yeah, watch my previous video that I just posted, which is a stitch. Also talking about how I think it's very weird that Turning Point has been manipulating children. Also, along with that, I would like to bring up the Great Grift. A lot of people are making a significant amount of money off of those freedom shirts that are being sold. That I don't think are even involved in the Turning Point organization. When I watch metrics on what is, I'm a graphic designer, when I watch metrics on what is going on with the products that are being sold as far as merchandise is concerned, those shirts are selling, a lot of them, and it's very crappy design. It's a default Windows font that has no copyright protection that is being used. And I'm seeing the same thing across the board when I do graphic design. I'm out here to make a mockery of Trump's and MAGA's merchandise by duplicating it and making it my own. Because it's political commentary, it's political criticism, I can do that. But yeah, I will say the people doing the graphic design on some of these products is really not good at what they're doing. I was surprised to see one of these Freedom shirts had a significant amount of sales, and like it was like somebody put one of these flags on there. I can make it in Photoshop. I can make it on my own from scratch, but somebody had generated, it was obvious, they had generated one of those flags in AI and did not even properly clean it up and just slapped it right on the shirt, and people bought up a bunch of those. There's a lot of people profiting off of the misinformation campaigns and taking advantage of children in the middle of all of this. Other than that, the whole MAGA thing is just, in my opinion, it's desperate people who are confused about what's going on around them, people that are not educated, who need to feel like they belong. See, one of the things about human beings is that, like, we don't have sharp, pointy teeth. We don't run fast. We're not an animal that's very capable of survival. There have been studies that show that people who suffer from loneliness are actually more likely to have a premature death. We are supposed to be in a tribe, a group, a community, and for that reason, there are subconscious biological drivers that make people prone to being manipulated in this way, because without a sense of belonging, without a group mentality, without a group to belong to, people are not safe. You know, in a tribal sense, it's not safe to be ostracized and isolated. And so then there are health consequences for being alone and lonely. And so this whole thing of like racism and us versus them that MAGA is doing is just a simple play on subconscious drivers that actually are so deeply embedded in the human species that it is based on a biological need to belong. And unfortunately, because these people are so poorly educated and so easily manipulated, and the fact that these people are targeting children who don't know very much about the world, who actually should have people looking out for them, and don't have the right people looking out for them. They have people who are trying to take advantage of them financially and for political gain. These are biological drivers that they're playing off of. That's all that us versus them is. And when it comes to things like racism, etc., it's a very simple tool of psychological manipulation to say us versus them. And it's something that somebody who does not have very much to offer would do, because that's all they have. We're not like those guys who are wearing yellow shoes because all of our shoes are red. Fuck those yellow shoes guys. We should all hang out because we all have red shoes. They're not like us. It's a very simple mentality, but it does go down to biological drivers, and it has something to do with it. Other than that, part of the reason why J.D. Vance, in my opinion, from my own perspective, based on my observations, is probably trying to hook up with this Erica Kirk. I don't know if these guys are passing her around like a floozy. Is she doing that for money? Is she letting herself be passed around? That's one thing that I wonder. Other than that, I think it's because of the criticism that's been coming from the white supremacist groups who, again, you know, for you younger people, I just want to remind you, people are going to say extreme things if it's going to make them money. And some of these podcasters, you know, I'm a podcaster. I'm an influencer. In total, I got over 100,000 followers. I haven't been at this for very long. I got multiple accounts on all kinds of different platforms. I'm seen. You know, we figure out what works out here and we go with that. And some people find that they're able to get views and make money by saying extreme things, whether or not they're correct. And so there are people who are out here who are playing on these forces of the us versus them and magical thinking, making people believe that they are validated in things that are simply not true, just because it makes people feel more comfortable. Yeah, I'm sure it makes you feel more comfortable to think that you don't have to do a damn thing to contribute to society and that somehow magically you are superior without putting any effort in to be better than other people. Just because you think something in your head does not mean that it is true. Again, there are 6 billion people on the planet Earth. And nobody's ego, just because you think something, just because something is happening up here, does not mean that it's correct. But people want an ego stroke, and that's what's going on in the manosphere, on the bro podcasts, is individuals who have learned how to manipulate the weak-minded for profit. And some of those groups of people are speaking out against J.D. Vance for the color of the skin of his wife, saying that he is not a purist. It doesn't matter. I mean, to me, at the end of the day, all of y'all are wrong. What you're doing is harmful. There's plenty of data and statistics to speak out to that. And the whole white supremacy and racism and hatred thing is just, it's a weak-minded ploy. And it's being done for profit. I see grifters all over the place in this MAGA stuff that are cashing in on y'all. But you're not getting a part of that pie. That's why it's being done. It's being done to make J.D. Vance look better. That's what I think based on what I'm observing. Other than that, I am still of the personal opinion that if society were honest, and if there weren't a bunch of loyalists in office, if the judicial system actually worked and there was meaningful enforcement of the law, I personally feel that Kirk should be under investigation for possible involvement in the murder of her husband. And that's just my opinion based on the things that I'm seeing. This is part 2. There's a separate video that I just made. Go to part 1. It's not labeled part 1, but it's the previous video. I'm going to go now.